Welcome to the M2 podcast. This is the rebrand. If you're noticing on YouTube or Spotify video, wherever you're watching us, we have redone our colors and our color scheme. It's looking pretty good. We think it's fresh, a little bit more modern. But to recap of what we've been up to, mostly a rebrand for the looks, but we're going to keep the same format that we've always done, except we'll mix up a little bit here and there with how we go through the articles and the news of the week. So for those of you that are new, this is the show where we're going to be covering esports and personalities, some gaming industry related news, new and upcoming games, and technology and innovation. Pretty much like a gamer show kind of thing. But without further ado, my name is Michael Anthony. My co-host is Kyle Heath. And Sir Kyle, what have you been up to the last? I don't even know, man. It's like the end of season 3.
It's been like a month, dude.
It's
I
been a
have to
long
say,
time.
it feels good to be back. I've been
It
excited
does.
about this for a while, just getting back and doing it. But it was a good break. I think we both got some time to kind of chill out a little bit and
Yeah.
focus on stuff. And even some I mean, there were still, of course, some stories that came out while we were gone. But I think for the most part, it was kind of just it was kind of chilled out, kind of the news wise, especially around the holidays. So seems like everyone really got a break there, which is good.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I think I think for the most part I was just kind of just vibing and chilling. Of course, like keeping an eye on like gaming stuff, but really just kind of doing some prep, of course, for this and what we're doing with the show now and rebrand stuff. Getting ready for that. But overall, dude, I'm excited. What games did I
Me
play over the break? You might ask. You might
Yeah.
ask, Mike.
What have you been up to?
What games have I played? Honestly, mainly just like kind of games with my boys. I got back. I was into Warzone, I think, a little bit at the start. Doubled back to
Nice.
Fortnite a little bit. Played
Oh,
some of
snap.
that. It's been fun. Been playing with all sorts of people on that. Um, but unfortunately, no single player stuff, which I'm kind of bummed out about because I wanted to. But I think going into this year, hopefully, I'll be able to find some time to actually play some single player stuff because there's a lot of games, especially that came out pretty much close, not exactly when we left, but there's one. I mean, High on Life came out, which is pretty close to like when we had our
That's
last
right.
show. Never got a chance to check that out,
Neither
so I
have
really
I.
want to
It
check that
looks
out.
good. It looks really good.
Yeah, it does. So I definitely want to check that out at some point. But yeah, I mean, other than that, kind of just been chilling. You know, I got into sports a little bit and watched some football here and there, been having fun. Uh,
Nice.
been watching some soccer too, some Premier League, trying to get into that with
Oh,
you and the boy, so watch some of
did you
that.
pick your team? Have you decided
I
yet?
don't know, not yet. I mean, like I said, Tottenham was like kind of like a spur of the moment. Like I was just watching them, but I don't know if I necessarily want to pick them or not. But yeah, I still need to do some more research on that front. So yeah,
Take your time.
yeah, yeah. I definitely gonna take my time, but just so yeah, got into some sports, and kind of been more than that too. So kind of a double header there, so to speak, in gaming and sports. But that was really all I got around to. It's some really just kind of enjoyed the holidays and relaxed. I gotta know what you played,
Awesome.
Mike. Gotta know what you did.
Well, before we go into what I've done, I have a question for you. Did you do anything in terms of Christmas? Did you have any big purchases that you made that you were waiting on for deals or anything like that in
Yeah,
regards to gaming
that's
or whatever life?
yeah, that's a good question. Um, Gaming wise, not really. There was not really anything like huge I bought. Um,
Mhm.
I did get an Apple Watch. This isn't like a
Let's
brand new
go.
one, but it is a like new one pretty much. So I got that. Um, this was probably the biggest thing, but I mean, other than that, I was kind of just spending time with friends and family and just kind of chilling out. So all I did. What about you? Did you get anything huge?
Uh, I finally caved in and got myself a mountain bike. That's been the big purchase for me. And I
Shit,
don't like
nice.
spending a bunch of money all at once, so I had to go through mental hoops with myself to reason. So the reasoning that I made, I was just like, okay, I'm close enough to everything that I want to go to on a regular basis, including work. I don't need to drive as much if I have a bike. So I was like, all right, let's get a bike. So I get the bike, and then it rains for about 2 weeks straight. And I know you live relatively close to me, so remember
Yeah,
those 2 weeks were just
yeah,
constant rain.
yeah.
So I went and got myself a bunch of mud flap fenders and stuff. So if it could do that and a complete waterproof hunting outfit, not camo, just grayed out.
Yeah.
It's basically like a poncho. So that's been the biggest thing that I've done. Aside from playing the same old games, man. Like games that I need to get into. One of my goals for this year is like I got to get back into Fortnite because
Yeah.
everybody's been playing that again. The no builds seem pretty good, and I want to give Apex another shot. Give that a go.
Think so? You've been saying that, I
Yeah,
feel like.
I have. I've been saying that a couple of times. I mean, I'm getting used to the mouse and keyboard again because last time you and I played, I hadn't used mouse and keyboard in like a year. I was grinding Halo Infinite, right?
Yeah.
On with the gamepad.
Yeah.
But I've been playing a bunch of Overwatch, and it's like if I can like pop heads in Overwatch, I think I can figure it out in Apex. So
You
playing a lot
definitely
of
can,
Sojourn.
dude. Just saying. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited for that, dude. I haven't played Apex in a probably a couple months, but I'd be down to dive back in. So yeah,
Yeah,
sounds fun.
yeah, we'll give it a go. Run it back.
Run it
Old
back,
times.
dude. Oh yeah, yeah, we have to. Dude, we have to. Oh,
Yes, sir. Outside of that, man, oh yeah, Mario Party All Stars or Superstars or whatever. Got that for the Switch. I've been playing the Switch a little bit. That's been the big thing.
okay,
Finally got on
okay.
the Switch again. Dude, there's so many single player games that I gotta finish this year. I even tried to bring back Cyberpunk, progress a little bit further in the missions. So
Yeah, I
it's
think I
been
remember
weird.
seeing you on that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been
Right.
weird to come back.
Yeah, yeah. It has been. I ain't gonna lie, but I definitely want to get into more of the single player stuff. So that's one goal for me. You know, we'll see what happens. 2023. I feel like it's gonna be a
Let's go
good year. You know, let's go.
back. Well, how about we go ahead and start jumping into the news for this week? I guess like it kind of covers the first 2 weeks of January. Hasn't been
Mm,
much going on. I think everybody's doing the same thing, coming back from vacation. So
yeah,
no big releases yet, but we still got some bangers.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we definitely do. I mean, what I saw in news outlets too. I mean, it's just kind of like after like the 15th of December. I think it was kind of like most uh most of the news was like Twitter, like
Yep,
that's like it.
it was all
There's not
Twitter.
really
That's
like
all it was.
articles. But yeah, no, there has been announcements. It's the start of the year, the start of every year. Of course, the CES. So like that CES week is like that whole like there's a lot of stuff coming out. Um, I don't know if we really have much too related to CES for our kind of dive back in, but um we will start off with Xbox and Bethesda. Um, new year means new directs and new presentations and new everything to present to the gamers there. Xbox and Bethesda did confirm that they're doing a Nintendo style direct, but don't expect Starfield yet. They explicitly stated that
Yeah.
they're going to have their own standalone broadcast for Starfield in the future. But after some rumors circulated earlier in the week, Microsoft confirmed a Nintendo style developer direct will take place featuring Bethesda and Xbox. The presentation planned for January 25th at 12 p.m. PT, 3 p.m. Eastern. It's going to focus on upcoming Xbox games like Forza Motorsport, Minecraft Legends, and Redfall, as well as new content for Elder Scrolls Online. One game will be a no show, though, and that is Starfield. And that's because Microsoft has a standalone show planned for a later date. So, seems for the most part, it's going to be a fairly like kind of basic show. Um, it says the post briefing went over what each developer will cover as well. ZeniMax Online studio director Matt Foyer, for example, is going to unveil 2023's major chapter update for the Elder Scrolls Online. Arcane's Austin studio will show several minutes of Redfall gameplay, including the single player and multiplayer components. Basically, we're getting a glimpse of what's to come for Xbox in the first chunk of 2023. But yeah, Starfield is absent, getting it at a later date. No big deal. Um, but yeah, but yeah, it seems like we're getting like we're gonna be getting kind of a direct from. It seems like that's kind of the way like most studios and devs are going through it now, is just kind of doing a direct style thing. Um, and yeah, Xbox and Bethesda seem to be adopting that form of, I guess, exposure and presentation. So are you excited for direct? I mean, this sounds exciting. I mean, granted, no Starfield. I still think it sounds exciting though.
I'm not too bummed about Starfield. I'm not massive into RPGs. It's not really my thing. Although like Starfield is Bethesda, so it's something that we should definitely be paying attention to. But in terms of like doing this Nintendo style direct, that's always a good idea, I think, for studios and publishers. to have going for it. Like Nintendo's so good with being transparent, I feel like a little bit to their customers and showcasing new games. Like I'm usually excited for a Nintendo Direct to see what they're going to be unveiling. I think some predictions I can make for this one for January 25th. There were a couple of rumors that honestly I can't remember right now, but Forza Motorsport, and that's going to be good because we haven't had a Forza Motorsport game in quite some time, and I bet you they're going to have some DLC or something for Forza Horizon because like Forza Horizon's
Yeah,
been out for I think 2 years, going on 2 years. And when that game launched, if people remember, here I'm actually in fact fact check myself. When that game launched, it was pretty much kind of broken. Yeah, November 1st, 2021 is when that came out. So we're about a year and a half in. Um, it's about due for another DLC and a couple more promos and stuff. Like maybe some what do you think? Like possibly some what do they call them? Roadmaps for
yeah,
different game releases and like DLCs. I think that should be anticipated, you know?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly expecting maybe some. I don't know if we'll get. I mean, it's one thing. Like roadmaps are great and all. I think if they were to do like an entire show where each dev is like, "Here's our roadmap," it's kind of like, all right, like whoa, like what do I like? It's like
Yeah,
information overload kind of thing.
that's a
Um,
good point.
but I mean, I think of course we'll always see more gameplay and maybe even some trailers. I mean, it seems though. I mean, since this is more of a direct, I don't know how many like new stuff we'll see. It's probably just gonna be like here's what's upcoming kind of thing and some more updates on that. And this would be the perfect opportunity to do something like that, since it is more or less like a smaller stage as compared to like a giant E3 showcase or like a Summer Games Fest showcase. So, um,
True. Yeah.
um, I expect that's probably kind of what we'll see more, and that's what it sounds like. It's kind of just here's some updates from our different studios that are working on big projects right now. Um, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a really good idea to have that. Um, it seems like you know how they do their indie showcase? It seems like they're just trying to do the same thing, but for the big devs and studios,
yeah,
which makes perfect sense.
yeah, I think it does. Um, I mean, it's the indie showcases always gonna have a place in my heart. You know what I'm saying? I think in this
Oh,
show too, we're always gonna be loving it. But yeah, I mean, having the having more, I think more updates on these games, stuff like that. It's only like like I'll always take more information on games, especially in the way the gaming client has been over the past like 5 or so years. It's always good to see what's going on and kind of stay informed. But yeah, this has me excited though. I'm definitely gonna be marking my calendar for that 25th of January. I should glance real quick. That falls on a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday, Mike.
yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks,
Well,
a little under. Yeah,
basically, yeah.
yeah, a little under. But yeah, it's pretty close. It'll be here before we know it, I'm sure. So,
Yes, sir.
mm,
I'm looking forward to it.
forward to
So
it too.
speaking of Xbox here, let's go to oh, you already got it. So Xbox is about to get some big energy saving updates. This is a article from Isaiah Colbert at Kotaku. So Xbox Insider members are getting a bunch of carbon aware updates for their consoles. So as of today, which is yesterday that this was published, so when you guys listen to this, it's going to be January 11th or Wednesday of this week. So today, Microsoft announced a bunch of energy saving updates coming to the Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S. Naturally, these updates came packaged with the humble brag that Xbox is the first carbon aware console. So back in the Halcyon, pretty sure that's how you spell it, right? Or pronounce it.
Yeah,
Halcyon? Year of 2019, 21 gaming companies, including Microsoft, Sony, and Google Stadia, announced their commitment to become more environmentally conscious under an industry wide initiative calling Playing for the Planet. During the United Nations Climate Action Summit, Microsoft vowed it would get gamers involved in sustainability efforts in the tandem with its 2012 commitment towards making carbon neutral Xboxes. So, this has me interested because it's like with Microsoft, Sony, and Google Stadia participating, it's kind of interesting how they're like, okay, the consoles are going to be energy like saving. Meanwhile, you got an Nvidia graphics card that's sucking out like a kilowatt of power.
Yeah,
the 40 series. I thought that like right when I saw this article.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
So
yeah, I agree. Kind of a it's weird, right?
so the technical programmer, Blaine Hogley, I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name, was quoted as saying in his recent blog post that we not only hold ourselves accountable to the carbon emissions in the production and distribution of our products, but to the emissions created with the use of our products in the homes of our fans as well. So the way we design our hardware and software to be more efficient and optimized for renewable energy can have a big impact, which is true. There's a lot of people with gaming devices always running now, seems like. So the rest of the post details upcoming energy saving updates by Xbox Insider members. Basically, a fan with access to work in progress content coming to the Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S. So the first new update is a shutdown energy saving power option. And according to the blog post, the new option cuts power use by up to 20x when it's off compared to sleep. Although this update won't affect the performance, gameplay, or overnight update capabilities of the Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One consoles will take a bit longer to boot up. And by the way, these are updates that you cannot opt out of. So I don't know how
Yeah.
people feel about that, but where do you stand?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Look, I think overall, when I think of, carbon neutral, like carbon neutrality and stuff like that, the first company that comes to mind is Apple. Because that's like been Apple's campaign for like what feels like, the past like 5 years. I don't know, maybe even longer than that. Where, they're when they're shipping phones, they're getting rid of like, the charger bricks that come with it because, they want to cut down on that waste. And it's, the way I mean, when they're wrapping their phones down, they don't use plastic. It's kind of like these tech companies and like we're slowly figuring out and finding out ways to cut down on waste, but also kind of cut down and try and like help the planet. I mean, I'm personally, I think if it's, I think if it's helping the environment, I have no problem with it. I think like if they've, and it seems like they're saying here that it cuts power use by 20x when it's compared to sleep. I mean, clearly they've done testing and they're and I and
Yeah.
it would be interesting to see like a data breakdown of this and like kind of what they did because I'm sure they hired a bunch of testers to try different methods or they they did stuff in house and then sent it out. So I mean I'm sure they've done their due diligence, I guess is the way of putting it. But but I mean personally I'm all for that. I mean granted there's probably I haven't like I've heard about this. I haven't read too much or seen too many of the like public opinion on this. I mean, I personally like I cannot opt out of it, but I mean, if it's helping the environment, I'm all for it. So it doesn't really affect me one way or the other. I mean, some people, may be like, "Oh, you're taking away my choice," rah, but like, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's and I'm sure that's a thing, but I don't know. For me, I mean, I'm for it. If it's if it's about helping the environment. I mean, granted, you're playing on you're playing on these consoles and like sucking up all the energy and stuff like that. Like it's probably the last thing you're thinking about is like, oh, am I helping the environment? But I mean, anything to help in any way we can help, I don't see why not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's a good take. I think like for me it's not going to impact me personally because I always hard turn off my Xbox and consoles. It's a habit that I do. It's just I'm kind of an old school head case where I think like if you leave your console on or your computer on um like in sleep for days at a time, it like degrades the quality. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
back in the day you always had to reset or turn off your computer if the cache like built up in the RAM or something like that, it just
yeah,
started acting weird. So I know it's 2023, but I still hold my button down on my console until I hear it turn off,
yeah,
like fully turn off. So like this to me, it doesn't impact me directly, but I could definitely see it being an issue for people like because Xbox now always wants their consoles on so they can always connect, they can always update it. You always want and they like kind of force you to be online the whole time as well. So take it with what you want about it being like an energy consumption hog, I guess.
yeah,
It's probably the way to put it. Energy hog. But I wonder how people are gonna take the second update. So scroll down to the paragraph, the second environmentally conscious update. This is gonna be kind of interesting because I could see people head casing over that. So the second environmentally conscious update is an update to the console's active hours setting. Although insiders with Xbox Series X and S will have their active hours automatically enabled based on the player's active playtime hours, Xbox One users will have to configure their active hours manually. So basically, I wonder if that's going to be a requirement or it's going to be something that you can opt out of where you have to share your active hours, essentially like how often you play and like what times a day you play or
Yeah.
what times you never play. Because if they know when you'll never play, aka like if if you're not a creature, you're basically going to be asleep by like 2 a.m. and waking
Yeah.
up at like 8 or 9, and most people aren't going to be gaming at 9 in the morning. There are exceptions everywhere, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be interesting when the update comes out.
Yeah.
But
No,
there
for
is
sure.
no like, there's no official date yet. This is just all a work in progress coming along. Right
Um,
now with the Xbox Insider, it's essentially in beta.
yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, I think overall, it's like it's kind of like collecting data, like so. And a lot of people, it's like, oh, I don't want my data collected, which is totally reasonable. I think when it comes to some stuff too, I even opt out because I'm just like, you don't need this information, kind of thing. Um, but this is, seeing your active hours. I mean, if they do make it a requirement, they could probably use, they could probably use that information for other things, like like seeing when the player is actually active online and using their console. Like, they can kind of it may sway their decision on certain activities for the console. So they could probably use it outside of that. But it sounds like the primary use is just, when we know for sure you're not active, we're gonna try and save as much energy as we can. So I mean,
Yeah.
again, I think it makes sense, but I don't know. But yeah, it seems like it's going to be kind of an optional thing. There's at least I don't see anywhere where it says that that would be a requirement. So, um,
It's a good I think it's a good idea to add that whole like update feature that you can opt out of. It's going to be a part of the console because it's like how many consoles are out there? Like over 10 million, and then you add like what are they saving? 50 watts by turning it off fully
yeah,
like a night or and then you times that by 10 million if they're all doing it, it's like that's a lot of energy that you're
yeah,
going to be saving, which is a good idea because at least in the US like our grid is kind of fragile. So it's a it's a good idea to try to get the demand off our power grid as much as you can off stuff that's not even necessary. This is entertainment. So
yeah. It's a good point. It's really not at the end of the day. It's what you want it to be. We want it. We want to be on this thing. You know what I'm saying? But
yes sir.
yeah, what it is. I mean, I'm all for it. We'll see how we'll see how they react. I'll see if Xbox responds if there's enough negative criticism. Because that'll be interesting. But yeah, he's been receiving negative criticism, Mike. Do you
What a
know?
segue. What a
Oh, man,
segue.
ladies and gentlemen,
Okay, hit him with it.
we are 2 weeks into the year. 2 weeks into the year, right?
Yep.
To 2023. However, we got some updates on Ubisoft, and I must say, oh man, it's not looking good for Ubisoft. I've been
They're
seeing
in a crisis.
they really are. That's not even an exaggeration either. Like it is. I'm praying for him. Because I kind of want, I want Assassin's Creed to do well. I want these games to do well. Anyways, Ubisoft held an emergency call with investors on Wednesday, so this is the 10th of January, to reveal that the company's 2022 sales had fallen well below expectations and that it would be taking drastic measures going forward, including canceling 3 more unannounced games, delaying Skull and Bones for a few months yet again. This actually falls into next year now that Skull and Bones is going to be coming out, 2024. And cutting roughly $215 million in costs over the next 2 years, with some of the savings coming from a smaller headcount at the over 20,000 person publisher.
Jeez.
Man, okay. Ubisoft CEO said, "Today, more than ever, I need your full energy and commitment to ensure get back to the path of success." He wrote this in an email to staff. "I'm also asking that each of you be especially careful and strategic with your spending and initiatives. Ensure we're being as efficient and lean as possible." Now, if you get, all right, I'm gonna pause right there for a second. Like, if you get an email from your supervisor saying that, what is your
Dude,
reaction?
dog, that ain't okay. So if it's the supervisor, I'm thinking, okay, he wants to make the team look good and he wants to have the team. like good performance metrics because the supervisor wants to get a promotion. What's this promotion based on? The people underneath them. Okay, cool. When the CEO sends that message, I'm updating my resume. I'm going to LinkedIn. I'm calling some buddies. I'm calling the publisher down the road. We're building a safety net, okay? Because if you can get out, you might want to, man.
Yeah.
They said he sent it to all the employees. We're asking be especially careful and strategic with your spending and initiatives.
Sound
What
good,
does that
Mike.
mean? What does that mean?
Oh,
Bill your hours accordingly to the right projects.
it
That's what
means
that means.
we're belly up, baby. You better be making sure you do some work. Lots of
Oh my
publishers, lots of
gosh.
publishers faced game delays during the pandemic, but Ubisoft was hit harder than most. Skull and Bones, Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, and Assassin's Creed Mirage were all, at one time or another, expected to ship by the end of last year. CEO told staff that these delays have weighed on our cost and decreased our assets, our associated revenues. Sorry. The company is now projecting, ready for this? The company is now projecting
Oh.
a roughly
Oh.
$537 million loss for the fiscal year ending in March 2023. That's $500 million, Mike. My gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Was all their money tied up in crypto?
it makes you think that,
Like,
right?
how do you lose
Like,
that
dude,
much?
that's a lot of money, bro. Oh, man. All right.
Oh my goodness.
This article goes on a little more to talk about Skull and Bones because it was one of the key points here. They said, and I quote, this is my favorite quote in this whole article. You ready? While Skull and Bones is now complete, while it's now complete, mark that, we are using the remaining time until our launch to leverage feedback from our ongoing technical tests and upcoming open beta to polish and balance the experience. This is a spokesperson for Ubisoft that told Kotaku in an email. To fully deliver on this launch, we are leveraging the full power of co-developing studios around already involved development process, including Ubisoft Paris studio. Ubisoft Singapore remains the lead studio on Skull and Bones, and the team is working full speed on the game experience and the development of its robust post-launch content. Oh,
All right.
man.
All right, Kyle, let me ask you.
All right, I'm ready.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being total BS and 10 being you believed everything there, where are you at?
You ever been to Olive Garden, Mike? You ever get the breadsticks? You ever get the breadsticks?
Oh, no, you're at
Oh,
1?
dude. I might be, not gonna lie.
I
Maybe
was
I'm
gonna give it a
exaggerating, but
I'm
still,
gonna
it's
give
like,
it a
yeah, like, I don't know. This is my thing.
uh,
Using the rhetoric complete
that's
and,
not the
and
word.
and having to delay it into 2024 at this point,
Yeah, that ain't the word.
it's just not complete. And I mean, sure, you could be like far along in development, but like, I mean, if you're having to delay it into next year, you can't like you can't be that far in development. I feel like. I mean, it's just like, or there has to be like what you have is a pile of crap. Can't
Yeah.
like you just can't like polish it. There's like a lot of like structural changes that probably have to happen to get that game back up and running. So I don't know. I find it hard to believe that the game's complete. I just I you know I maybe that's cynical, but I think it's just reality at this point that there's just like a lot of stuff wrong with the game. So that's why they keep delaying it. Um, they said there's going to be open betas. Who knows? That may fall under this year, or we may get like an open beta or two. I hope. I mean, that'd be interesting to see. But I really hope that it is at least playable in that open beta. Um, but and it says they're trying to develop robust post-launch content. I'm all for post-launch content, but if the game is getting delayed this much, that's my last thought. You know, that's the last thing I'm worried about. You know, um, where and this is that's part of the thing that scares me too, because so many games. I feel like games now. This is the problem. I've discovered it. Eureka. Most games nowadays are so focused on their post-launch seasons and their post-launch content,
Yes.
they're forgetting about the base game. And it's like you gotta we need a foundation here, and that is the base game.
Yeah, release it first and hope it works, hope people buy it, and then keep updating it and call it a live service game. It's
Like,
not gonna be a complete game until 2 years from after your release.
yeah. And also, not every game can be a live service game. I think we've learned that. So it's just like, oh man. Anyways, I'll continue a
Oh,
little bit more on the article. It's quite the read, but another important thing. So you may be asking yourself, like, how's Ubisoft going to recover? How are they going to deal with these losses? So to deal with the
nope.
losses, Ubisoft has now canceled 3 more unannounced games, in addition to the 4 that were previously canceled last year. It's also written off around $537 million of R&D costs associated with upcoming and canceled games, and the company is planning to slice roughly $215 million in costs from its operating budget over the next 2 years. This will be achieved through targeted restructuring, divesting,
Investing.
divesting some non-core assets, and usual natural attrition. I love these words. Ubisoft continues to look at hiring highly talented people for its biggest brands and live services. 3 current and former Ubisoft developers who wish to remain anonymous because they are not authorized to speak about company plans recently told Kotaku that they are already seeing cuts by way of fewer backfills for recently departed colleagues and fewer contracts getting renewed for those working on a temporary basis. They also said there were layoffs across some of Ubisoft's US locations last fall, including its San Francisco office. A spokesperson for Ubisoft said only 27 positions were eliminated as part of its, quote, restructuring. Believing
Oh, no.
people, it's just like you're hearing these stories from the inside. People on the inside are like, it's just not looking good. It's very evident that there's issues. It's not just like, it's not just like, oh, we hear it from the CEO, so it's bad. It's like, we've been noticing it, kind of thing. So,
Yeah, it's like we noticed it for a while, and then the CEO had to address it, which is the whole reason he sent out the email to everybody.
yeah,
I've seen those emails before in businesses that were failing. It's not a good sign.
yeah,
Um, some context here. It's like the 537 million that they're going to be written off as R&D costs. I'm pretty sure R&D costs, research and development, is a tax write-off because the U.S. government, obviously, 537 million for Ubisoft. There are multiple different governments in different countries under different governments. I should have said. But the R&D costs are usually like some type of tax write-off. So who knows if it's actually R&D and it's just like regular operating costs of having inefficiencies to where you're not making any money. You're not finishing games, man.
no.
7 games canceled in the last year.
Never heard of that ever. You know what I
7?
mean? Like 7? God.
Holy crap! All unannounced games, dude. Just make a Splinter Cell. What are you doing? Like, you'll make your
Do
money
we
back.
do we need more? They're
But
working. I'm pretty sure. I think it's Ubisoft. They're working on a Splinter Cell game, or they was announced they were working on one, right? Um,
who knows? It could have been one of the canceled ones. They're unannounced apparently.
I don't know.
Who
I
knows what
mean,
that means?
I mean that one. I think that one was announced though, so I don't know if it would fall into that.
Yeah, that
But
yeah.
anyways, I mean that's neither here nor there. At the end of the day, um, I I would hate to see Ubisoft go because they've made a lot of good IP and they've made a lot of amazing games. But it's like eh, you need you either I don't even I don't want to blame upper management. It's so easy to blame upper management, but it's like who's steering the ship here? Like what are we doing?
Yeah, this ain't just upper management. This is like a poison an entire company. Like this is a multi-billion dollar company, man.
Yeah.
They had revenue of last year of two. I pulled up their wiki. This is how I know this. They had 20,000 employees, over 20,000 employees, and 2.125 billion euros last year. That's wild. That's a lot of money. That's
No.
like not the C level messes that up. You know what I mean? This is
Yeah.
just like fundamentally they've been making poor mistakes for years.
Yeah.
And I
So it
think
seems.
like interest rates going through the roof, the economy being all wonky. It's like yeah, I think they're getting exposed, man. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, very well could be. All I will say is this. We're gonna look at this from a year from now, and it's gonna go one of two ways. It's gonna be the biggest downfall in game development history, or it's gonna be the biggest comeback in game development history. I hope it's the latter. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Dude, here's one thing I want to mention before we go on to the next article, which is a little bit brighter. But this right here, I pulled up their stock ticker, the Ubisoft Entertainment ADR. I think is this on the? I'm pretty sure this is on the New York Stock Exchange.
I think so.
No, it's
Or is it?
OTC. What's OTC?
Oh,
What's OTC?
I don't know.
I forgot. I used to know this when I cared. Let's see if I can find it.
I have
Over the
no
counter
idea.
or off exchange trading.
Off
Um,
exchange.
yeah, whatever. It's not an exchange, but you can still buy shares, I guess. Year over year. So this time last year, they had what is this? $12 a share. It's now going for 442. So they're down 57% just from last January.
God.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
it's
they're not
rough.
making games, and they're firing, well, letting people go, really. Good grief, man. But yeah, we did call the Skull and Bones, just for the record.
We did.
Um,
We
let
did.
the record show.
And particularly
Last
Mike.
July, we talked it, and I said, "It ain't happening. It's never gonna happen." I mean, the guts to say, "It is now complete, but we're gonna use the remaining time until our launch to leverage feedback from ongoing technical tests." What does that even mean? In an upcoming open beta to polish and balance the experience? If you need to polish and balance the experience, it's not complete. Why? Complete to me does not mean the same for this anonymous spokesperson for Ubisoft, right?
It just doesn't. Yeah. There's. I know they can't say much, but it's like, geez, make it make sense.
Well, let's switch it over to what Ubisoft could do to possibly turn the ship around. Okay?
I like that.
So Game Rant had this article by Rory Young. It was published yesterday. Another one on Wednesday, January 11th. So Ubisoft Plus subscription service could finally be coming to consoles. Evidence is discovered that implies that Ubisoft could be bringing its Ubisoft Plus subscription service to consoles in the near future. So Ubisoft subscription service, Ubisoft Plus, or I'm going to call it U Plus because they also have Uplay.
Yeah.
So let's call it U Plus is just Ubisoft Plus. U Plus. I just lost my article. It became
Oh,
it got hijacked, my man.
Ubisoft Plus could be coming to console soon, according to newly discovered evidence.
Hold me together, man.
It's originally
Okay,
named Uplay Plus. God, that is.
there
Jeez.
we back. Originally named Uplay Plus. Here, let's just start over. U Plus could be coming to consoles soon, according to newly discovered evidence. U Plus, originally named Uplay Plus, was first launched on PC in 2019. It granted access to a library of Ubisoft games, including some day one releases of Ubisoft's biggest titles. However, the service has never found its way onto PlayStation and Xbox consoles. I always wondered that. When I saw this article, I was like, I'm pretty sure that exists.
I
Um,
thought that too. Not gonna lie.
I thought for sure it was on console.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge market. Like, why would you not have it on console?
I think that's all their market. If you think about all their games,
Yeah,
everybody I know that plays Ubisoft games started playing Ubisoft games on console, and they still do.
that's a fact.
Like, just looking up here, like Trials Fusions is for free on Xbox. You got Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Trackmania. Trackmania is an awesome game. If anybody's ever used it or played it, I love it. Riders Republic that came out 3.5 years ago. That's a really good game. The Crew's super good. Anno 1800. That's like top tier talent, man. It's a lot of games here. So let's continue on with the article. This isn't the first time the U Plus being released on consoles has been rumored to be coming. A leaker hinted in August 2022 that U Plus news was coming soon. This was months after PlayStation Plus added the U Plus Classic Games library to extra and premium subscribers. An announcement never came, however, perhaps due to unexpected delays at Ubisoft, or maybe because the business is sort of failing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
that might have something to do with it. If
maybe.
you're losing all your value in your company, you might be more trying to fix that instead of
Hmm.
releasing a new product. Shout out 7 canceled games. Let's go. While there's yet to be an announcement regarding U Plus um, coming to consoles, Xbox platform scrappers.
Platform
Yeah. Oh,
scrapers, I'm assuming.
scrapers is when they go through all the
Yeah,
data, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and try to find out what evidence is there. So they apparently have found evidence that it could be arriving soon. A tag for U Plus has apparently been added to 24 different games on the Xbox platform. These include the popular Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Far Cry 6, Riders Republic, and obviously more. U Plus features well over 100 games in its library. Yeah, on PC, it's overwhelming. Have you looked at it?
Yeah, I have.
It
It's
has,
yeah.
it's
UK. I'm
wild.
like I it's too much to play. Can't do it. Can't pick. I'm just like overwhelmed.
Yeah. So much, dude. So there is no official date. Apparently, they might be offering some type of different tier system based on. They'll probably do something similar like the Game Pass, where
Yeah.
you could do like cross-platform on any of your consoles and then PC. I mean, that would be the good model to follow. Uh, yeah. So, what do you think about U Plus, Ubisoft Plus?
Ubisoft Plus. Well, I will say from a PC perspective, I've certainly seen what they have to offer. It's a lot of games. If you like single player games, it's a lot of single player games. There's also multiplayer stuff in there as well. I mean, yeah, Ubisoft as a whole, I feel like they have a huge market of Rainbow Six, right? That's very
Yeah.
granted, and I say like, oh, it's on PC. A lot of people play it on PC, but it also is a pretty good console port. Like, it plays
Yeah.
really well on console. So, yeah, I mean, to your point, it's across like, and so when I hear like, oh, these games are all on console and they play really well, it's like, it kind of blows my mind. Ubisoft Plus like hasn't been a thing yet, but then we see the previous article and it's like, oh, that company is like on fire right now. So I mean, it kind of makes sense as to probably why this has never been put onto a console platform,
Yeah.
because they can't even focus on their main bread and butter, and that's making video games. So it certainly adds more context when you when you hear that the studio is just not doing well. Um, but I mean, if they're gonna, I mean, it sounds like this league. It sounds like it's something that's been in development. It's something they've been working on, so it's probably close to ready to be pushed out anyway. Um, and I think it's always a good idea to like have take this subscription service. I mean, it obviously does well enough on PC that they're willing to move it to other platforms. So I mean, I say why not go for it. And like you said, I mean, there's the business models out there that work for these type of subscription services already, so they could, of course, if they want to try and do their own thing, they can. But I think they already have a decent template to work with. Another, whether it's Xbox or EA or whatever. There's other templates out there. So, but I mean, at the end of the day, I love Ubisoft's games, and they have such a great library. I think it could work for them. It could really work.
Yeah. I think that's well said. I So one of the things we're going to get into with the next article, I want to kind of mention it as well, is like with Microsoft going around and they're making big purchases with other studios. Do you think Ubisoft could be one of the ones that they purchase next in their entire games library?
I mean, yeah, I mean, Xbox buying them. I don't know. This is the thing. They're going through so much, just like hell on earth right now with trying to get Activision. It's
Yeah,
like, geez, they have to put out that fire first before they can even think about doing this.
that's a
But
fact. Actually, yeah,
eventually, I mean, it's Xbox, it's Microsoft, bro. I mean, they literally they're buying Activision Blizzard and King. Like they are buying a huge like conglomerate.
cash money.
So that's something I never saw coming. I don't think anyone ever saw coming. So this,
Nobody, if
so I mean,
nobody.
yeah, no way. I mean, I mean, yeah, I think it's entirely possible at some point if they want to go full on monopoly mode, they can just be like, "Yo, Ubisoft, come on in." Um, and it wouldn't be nearly as much of a deal as as big of a deal as Activision too. So they'd probably, honestly, if the Activision deal didn't go through for whatever reason, I mean, they could be looking at Ubisoft because it'd be a smaller deal. They'd get a lot of games. I mean, they get a huge library. It would be added. I mean, it would add a lot of value. So I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure it wouldn't have nearly as big of a pushback as Activision. So um, yeah, it could be a plan B if plan A doesn't work. It'd be an interesting theory. So yeah, it's definitely possible. But yeah, I don't know. But like I said before, I like Ubisoft's library games, so it'd be a W.
yeah, I love their library. I think it's a really good library. Like There's some sleepers in
I
here
mean,
that you haven't thought of in a while. It's
I'm
like
I mean, like, yeah, Assassin's Creed's not that great now as it was, but I mean, you can't forget those first 4 games were just banger, like,
absolutely not.
solid. I mean,
Or any of the Splinter Cells,
yeah, like,
dude.
dude, the Splinter Cell
Any
franchise, I go back
any
and play
top
those games still to this day because 'cause they're just banger. Like, there's so many just solid titles. I mean, we're talking Far Cry too. I mean, that's another huge franchise that they have that's, massive and still making games, kind of thing. You got Rainbow Six. That's I thought at one point was going a franchise that was going to. I mean, they have Tom Clancy, right? That encompasses a lot. But
yeah,
like Rainbow Six, I thought at one point I was like, I don't think that's gonna like continue on anymore because Rainbow Six Vegas and Vegas Two were fantastic games. But I
yeah,
was
they were.
like, I don't like, who knows if they're gonna try and revive it? And then they put out Siege, and that thing is like one of the one of the most widely played competitive games of the past like decade. So it's like, you know, they have stuff that works, and so it's like that's why that's why I hope they stay around. But who knows? Yeah, expanding this to console. I mean, there's certainly a lot of money they're leaving on the table by not having it. So this could be, like you said, a step in the right
On the table.
direction. Yeah,
Yeah. Might stop the bleeding, I think is what they really need to concentrate on.
yeah, yeah. No kidding.
Yeah, they're struggling, man. They are absolutely struggling. So we'll have to see what comes of Ubisoft. I think that's gonna be the big story this year. I
Yeah,
really do.
I think that's gonna be the one to follow, right?
Yeah.
Last year we had the Activision Blizzard deal, which was the second episode of the year. And now
Yeah.
and look at this, we have another we have another banger to follow throughout the year. So who knows if it'll last as long, but we'll see. Uh,
Speaking of Activision Blizzard, I
yeah.
came across one of these articles right here. Why don't you
Oh
go ahead
man.
and get into it?
Oh, man. All right. Yeah. Speaking of Activision Blizzard, um, FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, they actually they said delays could send Microsoft and Activision back to the bargaining table. Um, August hearing blows past July deadline, triggering $3 billion breakup fee. Man,
Woo.
jeez. A person familiar with the merger proceedings asked to remain anonymous to discuss corporate strategy said that Microsoft still has many paths to close before the July deadline. The administrative proceedings currently underway at the FTC don't have the power to completely halt the deal, the source pointed out. Says to do that, the FTC would have to file for a preliminary injunction in federal court, starting a completely different legal process. It says at the moment, though, Microsoft is still waiting for official approval from the European Union and UK regulators, which should be decided by April. If those decisions come out in Microsoft's favor, the company is prepared to close, the source said. That move could essentially force the FTC's hand to settle with Microsoft or take more forceful action to stop the deal. While Microsoft's preference would be to settle with the FTC, the source said the company is still thinking through the different paths that could lead to a deal pending the FTC's decisions on moving forward. More importantly, that hearing schedule. So the original story says that Microsoft first announced its intentions to buy nearly a year ago Activision Blizzard. Company said they expected to close the deal during the 2023 fiscal year, which is ending this June. It's hard to think we're already here, but yeah, we're almost here. That schedule now seems exceedingly unlikely thanks to the FTC scheduling order setting a hearing on the government's lawsuit for August 2nd. That means a final government decision on the matter would be delayed until the fall or later. More importantly, that hearing schedule would likely push the final merger approval past a contractual deadline to close the deal by July 18th, as reported by the Associated Press. Hitting that deadline would technically trigger a payment of a $3 billion breakup fee from Microsoft to Activision Blizzard. In practice, though, passing the deadline would likely force both parties to come back to the table to renegotiate the deal's specifics. There's a lot more. It's a lot more numbers, a lot more stuff past all this. It seems like that's kind of like the crux of the article, though, is that we are now like what they're hoping to close out before June is literally impossible at this point. It's like that's something I didn't foresee happening. Um, and yeah, and the FTC cracking down on it. I mean, because this is the thing. I know when we were reporting on it, it's like PlayStation was like so against it, and they're like, oh, they can't do this, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, but and we're kind of like, well, I mean, boohoo PlayStation, like it is what it is, like like we're confident they're going to close the deal, and the COD is not stopping them from closing the deal, right? But then, yeah, now we come here and FTC's like, yeah, at first it's UK regulators, and they're like, yeah, I don't know about this, and they're pushing back. Now the FTC's pushing back and saying, well, wait a minute. Um, now the US is involved. It's kind of like this is all for some video games, like you know what I'm saying? Like it's just crazy that something for some video games like this is getting this much attention and this much government pushback. I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Mike? Do you still think it's gonna happen?
Yeah, I think it's still gonna happen. I think I mean it's really hard to say, right? Because it's like Microsoft has the money to make the purchase. The two parties have already agreed upon it. I don't think it really makes a monopoly unless Microsoft is like, you can only play or do any of these games on Microsoft devices, right? But they've
Yeah,
said multiple times that's not what they're going to do ever. So I don't know, man. I really don't. But if it does get approved, as the article says, in the EU and the UK, then it's pretty much going to be like, okay, well, FTC, like these guys already approved of it. So why would you not approve of it when they're stricter, kind of
yeah,
thing?
yeah. They have leverage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And it's basically stating that the breakup clause is the breakup fee that they're saying, a $3 billion fee that Microsoft will have to pay to Activision Blizzard if the deal isn't done by July 18th. I mean, it's probably going to go past July 18th at this rate, just because the FTC hearing is in August. So
yeah,
I don't see Microsoft paying that fee because it's out of their control, right? Like the breakup fee is usually like a pull-out clause kind of thing, you know?
yeah,
So I don't think that's gonna happen. So they will probably have to go back to the table and renegotiate the deal. So maybe the valuation goes up because of inflation, because of interest, because of sales. I don't know.
yeah,
But it's gonna be lawyered up.
yeah.
That's for sure.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it ultimately depends on what was the breaking point for the deal and why these regulators didn't approve of it. And if they have to
Yes.
renegotiate, there's certainly going to be some terms and probably there's
Oh,
some IP or some franchises that aren't included in the deal, which would
oh yeah.
be, which who knows? I mean, if it's a big enough, like if it was like COD wasn't included, that's like a pretty big chunk of the market share. So it's like, I mean, at this point, like,
True.
is it still worth it to Microsoft? Like, I mean, there's certainly a lot of other franchises under that. That's not just COD. So, I mean, I think it would be, but it all depends on what Microsoft's looking for. So it's
I
hard
could
to
see
say.
them. They could possibly break up Activision Blizzard into just Activision and just Blizzard. Like break up that merge and then like Microsoft buys one of the two.
Yeah, yeah,
I could see
yeah.
that
I
happening.
could see that too. Yeah,
Who knows? I mean, we're not C-level executives and we don't have billions of dollars. So,
unfortunately,
yeah, so one thing that's kind of interesting that this article mentions, and I'll read it off. If you scroll a little bit further down, I think. No, you're on the right
Yeah, I'm at the
page.
bottom
You're on
here.
the right. You're on the right. It says, as of this writing, Activision Blizzard stock price is $76.94 dollars, which is well below Microsoft's per share offer price. The gap reflects the market uncertainty over whether the deal will be allowed to proceed or whether Microsoft will be able to stake it with its initial offer during any negotiation. So Activision Blizzard stock was through the roof, along with everything else last year, like all-time highs kind of thing. And now everything's going down because of like just the state of the economy in the world.
Yeah,
So if they renegotiate in a couple of months, who knows what the new evaluation is going to be? It'll probably
yeah,
be less.
yeah. It probably would lose value, which I mean, who knows? Could be in the favor of Microsoft if it like does go down, then they don't have to pay as much. Um,
Facts, man.
yeah, who knows? They could make out pretty depending on how this goes. But it's clear that Microsoft is still very adamant about trying to move forward. So I
Oh, you
think
know what?
it all comes down to the
I
UK.
sorry. Let me correct something I literally just said. So they're up. Oh, there's no way. Okay, this is just circumstance. Okay, so it's $76 a share right now. This
Yep.
time last year it was $64 a share, so it went up 20% for over a year. but if you go to the next day, so January 14th, it's at 82, which is higher than what it is now. So it jumped 20% a day,
It's interesting.
because of the merger. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, there's a massive jump because of that, but
Uh,
before it was definitely down.
yeah. Oh jeez, man.
Interesting
So
how that works.
yeah, it is. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm very curious to see what's gonna happen. But with these deadlines being pushed further and further, it just means we're further and further away from an answer. So who knows? I mean, who knows if we even hear an answer before the end of 2023 at this rate? Just don't know. So
I think we'll have to have some type of idea of if it's actually gonna go
yeah,
through or not, 'cause right now
and
we're just
yeah,
spitballing.
yeah, we'll know more by May because April will be that'll be when the UK merger ends, and then or the UK
True.
regulation investigation rather ends, and then we'll
Yeah,
know more from there.
if they basically say, "No, no way," then it's not going through, straight up.
Yeah,
But if they do
probably
say,
not.
"It's okay, we're good, whatever, we meet the guidelines or whatever we're making up," then they're gonna go to the FTC and be like, "Listen, these guys approved. What's your problem?"
Yeah. Which would be weird. I mean, I almost don't even know if the UK is gonna like agree with the terms because I feel like it's been so long that they've like been investigating and like so hesitant. It's like I almost feel like it's leaning more towards the probability that they're gonna reject it. But I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, this is the biggest merger probably ever, possibly.
Probably.
I mean, AT&T buying somebody else was probably bigger
Yeah.
during like the dot-com stuff, but I don't know, man. I don't know how it's gonna end up. It doesn't happen often, so there's no real way to predict
Yeah. I
what's
think
gonna happen.
AT&T was at Singular or something like that. You remember that?
Yes.
Singular, and then well, you know what I found out recently? It's off topic,
Mm.
but you know what I found out like kind of recently was I had wondered. Do you remember Sprint, the mobile provider?
Yes.
I didn't know what
Uh-huh.
happened to them. I was like, what happened to Sprint?
They got bought out.
Yeah, and then
They got
I
bought out.
looked it up. They got bought out by T-Mobile. It's like I was like,
Yeah.
oh, but it was like right when the pandemic started, so that's why I didn't know because we were all like, worried about staying alive. So,
Yeah, fair
uh,
enough.
but yeah, I
Don't
thought that
mention
was
it,
funny.
man.
Yeah,
You're gonna bring it
sorry,
back like a
sorry,
boogeyman.
sorry. 3 years, almost 3 years strong, baby.
Jeez.
Mm,
It's already been that long.
crazy, crazy.
Oh, it's insane. But how about we move on to the next article that I'm pretty excited about. Um, we've mentioned this a couple of times. So there is a rumor by Liam Croft over at Push Square, and it's also been kind of rumored for a while now. But there is a rumor that there's going to be a full Discord support for the PS5 game streaming part of a next big firmware update. That is a really written title. Basically, no sooner has one PS5 firmware update come that some are already looking ahead to than the next one. As Sony patches its support for the upcoming PS5 DualSense Edge controller, reliable script for Insider Gaming has said that another PS5 update, currently set for March 8th, 2023, will include a full Discord support and the ability to stream PS5 games on the PS5. So, the latter feature will supposedly be available by the PS Plus premium members, allowing them to circumvent large downloads in order to play a native PS5 title immediately via cloud streaming, and is said to have been in testing for months now. The feature will apparently be part of the public beta for the 7.00 firmware update, which is set to begin shortly. So that's going to be coming out around, possibly, it says it's slated for March 8th. So 3 months away, 2 months away, actually. The testers won't be able to sample the Discord support on PS5, according to the report. But, however, there is an underlocking key for now. There's a little in a way of concrete details pertaining to what Discord on PS5 will actually look like. But since January 2022, you have been able to link your PSN account to Discord and display what game you're playing to your friends list. However, voice chat is still nowhere to be seen, despite Sony investing in the company and purchasing a minority stake. And in fact, Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One received voice calls 6 months ago, while the feature is still missing in action on PS5 and PS4. If the report is to be true, then it appears PlayStation players will finally be able to access voice chat via Discord in the not so distant future. I have a couple of takes I want to make before I give it off to you. So, There is a thing that PlayStation has been doing for a while now since the PS5 launched, what, 3 years ago now? We're coming up. And what they've done is if you were to make any inappropriate statements, harassment in video games, voice chat in particular, like their PlayStation group chatting services, they record everything. So if you were to say something horrific or somebody says something horrific to you and you report them, you go to the report player feature, it and you would say like, okay, they said voice comms were toxic or something like that. PlayStation would automatically file that report with an audio file of what the person said. So I don't think that's going to be possible with Discord, or the reason why they haven't launched it yet the same time Xbox did, because Xbox doesn't have that feature, um, is that they need that recording to like be a part of their like terms of service and security and like to combat toxicity. And if you've ever played COD, I swear to you, PlayStation kids, I'm gonna say it. You guys are bad about it. You guys are real bad, especially on the COD lobbies. So that's that's my hot take. I think PlayStation should have had Discord for a freaking while now, to be honest.
Yeah.
For a while.
I think to your point, that's why they hesitated. 'Cause,
I think that's my theory.
yeah,
I have nothing to back it up.
yeah. I don't know. I say if you told me that and like you read that somewhere, I'd believe you because like that's honestly like not a bad theory. I think I think there's certain business rules that PlayStation wants in place for this in order for
Yeah.
it to work properly, and I think it would make sense. But yeah, I mean, boy, I mean, Discord coming to consoles is, I mean, thank the good Lord. You know what I mean? Like we've been waiting for some solid voice chat. Don't get me wrong. I will forever cherish the days, especially on like the Xbox 360. That voice chat quality, I'll never forget
Yes.
it. It was terrible looking back on it, but it was amazing altogether. Like I just loved it. So, um, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna miss that kind of stuff, but I think we live in the day and age now where if we can get, especially at least the voice chat portion, like granted, I like cross plat and stuff's great. I love games that implement it. We're finally getting to a point where if you're on Fortnite, you can play from any device and connect together and
Yeah.
party up, and that's great. Like if we're doing that for games, I feel like it was only a matter of time before we said like, hey, why don't we try and find a way to just like incorporate a single third party hub for voice chat. So
Yes.
and Discord fits the bill for that. I mean, Discord is one of the greatest voice chat apps that has come out in the past 30, 40 years, honestly, on like a PC. And so
Really good.
bringing that to and I'm not saying not like praising Discord. There's things about Discord that still bug me, but it's kind of I think it's just like technological limitations that we have across like servers and whatnot. I don't think it's necessarily Discord's fault because it works pretty well like 95% of the time. But um but regardless, I think it's an overall W that consoles are starting to implement Discord. So it's exciting to hear that PlayStation is on that bandwagon and they're agreeing to do that because like Xbox preaches all the time, like gaming together and just like this overall sense of unity is what's going to build the gaming community up. So we might as well try and
Yeah.
make it as unified and uniform as possible, I think. Um now,
Absolutely.
having Switch games or on Xbox and having Xbox on Switch, like I wish, I don't know if we'll ever see that day, but I wish. Like,
No shot. Well,
like,
we might see that day, but it's gonna be a mod. I'll tell you that right now.
or
Nintendo ain't having you
Discord on
idiots.
Switch.
Yeah, dude.
Discord on Switch.
Discord Switch is dude, if Discord and Switch happens before PlayStation, Imma talk so much trash to
That'd be
anybody that's
hilarious.
a PlayStation fanboy. It's like, "Bro, you got beat out by Nintendo." Like, they don't even value the ability to play online, man. Like,
Yeah,
at all.
so, yeah, it's so true.
They don't care.
Oh man,
They're shutting down leagues for competing. That was like one of our last stories. Remember that?
yeah, I do remember that. Kind of
Yeah.
crazy. Like they're just like, yo, we don't want you spreading the joy and positivity of esports. Now,
Yeah.
positivity and esports hardly ever go hand in hand. Those people are talking crap to each other all the time, but I still think it's a
Yeah.
good time, regardless. You're competing and having fun. So, but yeah, that's I love Nintendo, but like it's just like one of those things that you wish they would change on that, and like their content ID and all. Like I just wish they would wipe all that out because it's just so archaic and it's not modern gaming and modern promotion. You know what I mean? Like it's like they're not adjusting to the age of the internet, and it's like
Yeah, that's
the internet's been
true.
around for how long? Like you know what I mean?
I mean, you're not wrong, but you're also like it doesn't matter when it happens to Nintendo, you know?
Yeah.
It's like
Uh,
I mean, it's like I don't know how to describe it, but for me, if we would do like some type of music analogy, like classic rock, I'm always gonna like classic rock, man.
yeah.
I'm always gonna go back and listen to classic rock here and there. I won't listen to it every day, but I mean, it's gonna be there for me.
Yeah,
You know, it could be anything. It'd be like your favorite band from 30 years ago, 20 years ago,
true.
10 years ago. You'd be like, it's always there.
Yeah. This is the thing. Nintendo, they
Doesn't
do
need to
have
change.
Nintendo has flaws, right? They have
It
flaws,
does.
but they
Limit.
at the end of the day, Mike, they made
Yeah.
Mario, they made Zelda, they made
Yeah.
Donkey Kong, they made characters that will forever be in the hearts of
Metroid.
everyone. Like
There's so
Metroid,
many games
like oh man,
like you can name it all off. Every game that you grew up and you love, I mean, Nintendo was there for you.
yeah, it's very true.
Nintendo Nintendo is the McDonald's that has the playground and the McFlurry and the old classic soft ice cream that everybody's out here going to Chick-fil-A now. But you know what?
Same.
McDonald's is there for you. That's what Nintendo's is.
I love it, you know? It's a solid
I had to do
analogy.
it. I had to do it. I'm
Solid.
ridiculous.
Oh, I'm sending that to Nick. Solid.
Facts. Are you hitting your
No,
hyperlink?
nobody will understand that reference, but I'm sending it to Nick. All right. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh man.
Anyways, I think, that pretty much wraps up our articles for the start of the new year, the start of episode 1 of season 4, man.
So on season 4,
Glad to
dude.
have you on for another season.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a good one, man.
dude.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
a good one.
I'm excited. Year 1 was fantastic, and I can only imagine each year gets better. Right? There's only one way, and that's up. Like you
Yeah,
understand?
facts. Facts. To the moon, baby.
And
To the moon.
yeah. Also, before we go, I wanted to mention this Sunday
Oh.
is guess what comes out this Sunday?
Ooh, hold on. Is it a
Well,
video game?
it's not a video game, but it is related to video games. It's a different
Mm,
medium. It's something that I've been anticipating for a while by the one and
different
only. It's a different medium. It's an adaptation, some may say. A video game adaptation. Will it be good?
Oh,
I don't know.
are you talking about The Last of Us?
Yes, sir.
Is it?
This
Is it?
Sunday on HBO Max, the first episode of Last of Us drops.
Oh,
And let me
let's
tell you,
go.
Mike, I've been seeing articles on this. Critics have seen it. They've been reviewing it. They are giving
The
it
gap.
so much praises. They are gassing this thing up so hard.
Oh my god. I'm excited.
I hope it doesn't flop. I'm gonna be watching it on Sunday.
I'm
and
gonna watch
before
it too.
and before the next episode, I'm gonna give my review. Or when the next episode, I'll give my review.
Dude, this week it's gonna be so good.
Yeah. Dude, yeah,
This
it's
week-
like, dude, yeah, it got me excited because like I saw that I was like, oh my god, it's already there. And then I started seeing a bunch of reviews. I was like, it's already out. I went and checked. I was like, oh, it's available on January 15th. And I'm like, dang it, so I have to wait. But yeah, everyone's saying that it is amazing. It is doing the story justice and more. It's like they're really really giving this thing like the golden star when it comes to adaptation. So I I don't think I'm gonna be let down, but I just hope I'm not.
Well, it's gotta be better than whatever the heck we watched. What is that?
Resident
Oh,
Evil, is that what you're talking about?
oh, yeah. I was just like, yeah, what's that game that became a show? Oh yeah, Resident Evil. That thing was
Dude, it's
trash.
unfortunate, dude. It's
So bad.
unfortunate. Um,
So
but I don't know. People are gassing this one up, so going in with an open mind and
dude, it looks so good. And it's like you're not gonna go bad with Pedro Pascal, isn't that
you
his
really,
name?
yeah, you really aren't. Like, dude,
You're not, dude.
yeah,
He's been on a tear.
he's a fantastic actor. So
He appears on Game of Thrones, he pops off, literally his head popped off, and then you go up, he's popping off in The Mandalorian. There was another one that he was in that was, like, really, really good. he's been like crushing it over and over and over
Yeah,
again, and now he's gonna be doing The Last of Us, and it's like, dude, let's go,
I'm
man.
ready.
He's gonna be the next big star.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, people are praising it. I'm excited. I will be watching that before the next episode of this show.
Let's go.
Mm.
Heck yeah. Well, I guess without further ado, man, like, do we have anything else to really go through?
No, I don't think so. I'm looking forward to this year. You will see we have rebranded this video here.
Mhm.
Also, I'm gonna try and make sure that everything else across our channels are rebranded as well to the new logo. I'm excited for this, and let us know what you think. Join our Discord
Yeah,
and tell us if
please.
do you like the
Yeah.
new? Do you like this? Do you think that's you think it's too much? You think we should change? I think we stuck to one style last season. I mean, I wouldn't I certainly wouldn't mind expanding upon that and maybe trying other things throughout the season. We're
Oh,
certainly not married to one thing, so um
exactly.
yeah. So
And
yeah.
you know what? Maybe we can ask anybody. We have not talked about this in voice channels, but Twitter, a single handle for the MT
Oh
podcast
yeah.
instead of our person. What do you think? You want to do it?
Yeah. Um I'd be very curious to see. Here's some more feedback. If you'd like to
Please.
use more. Would I mean, yeah, I'm certainly not opposed to the idea of doing a single Twitter. I think it ultimately comes down to, if it's what people want, but I mean, at the end of the day, a single Twitter may not be a bad idea just to send out one and then we can retweet it and do our things and but if we upload content to Twitter too, I think it would if it's like shorts and stuff like that, it makes sense to just go into one location.
That's a good
So yeah.
point. Yeah, instead of like us like randomly posting gaming content or clips and stuff like that, it doesn't really pertain to the podcast.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, how about we brainstorm over it and we'll let the people know really.
Yeah.
Without further ado, man, one thing we got to mention is everything that we've covered, everything that we've talked about, even our links to our socials are all below in the description of wherever you listen to this. So feel free to check them out. Enjoy the articles as much as we have. And I guess without further ado, shall we wrap it up? Episode 1, the season 4, the comeback tour. It's not even a comeback because we weren't down to begin with. Let's go.
Hey yo. Let's go.
All right, cool. So without further ado, I'm Michael Anthony. This is my co-host over here, KyleHeath. Thank you for joining. We'll catch you later in the next one. See you later.
Bye everyone.
So.